What's up, everybody? It's Jackson from the Shafter Coaches Show. Division III quarterfinal football. The Generals make it past the next round. Wasco Tigers make it past the next round. Kennedy Thunderbirds make it past to the next round. Kind of want to talk about a lot of things today. So we're going to first go over the mission prep game. I got some stuff drawn up. To answer your guys' questions, why did the Generals do what they did on offense? I think when I kind of explain it as best as I can, because I'm nowhere near as smart as the coaching staff for the Generals, it will make a lot more sense, and stuff was open. Stuff was open all night long. Players just really didn't execute. They came out kind of flat. And I think that was the big reason why some of the stuff looked like it didn't work, and it was there. And then we'll kind of go into what does Washington Union do, which is who the Generals face off this week. They're a very athletic team. I think they're susceptible, if I'm saying that right, on the defense side of the ball a little bit. So we'll go over what the Generals offense could see with them. To start off, all right, let's start with this. Empty. Everyone was upset that the Generals came out empty. To be honest, after watching the tape, I've switched my mind completely. I get exactly what they were doing. And I think it was a very smart game plan coming in. I just think, the players came out flat, like I said. And when you come out flat in a playoff high school football game, doesn't matter what you run. You can get beat on any given Friday. And I think that's, the wake-up call these players got, especially these younger guys that haven't been in the playoffs before. Dude, it's amped up. You got to come ready to play. You got to come with physicality, with your head on straight. If you don't, you can get beat. And especially these group of receivers, I think it was a wake-up call for them. But let's just talk about this. Okay, so let me move the camera a little bit. So Ezekiel Osborne, right? He got to run the ball a little bit, and he actually ran it pretty well when he got the opportunities to. So there we go. So this is what the Generals were doing. So this is just an empty set, right? The empty set, all that means is there's no back in the backfield. The back is now at receiver. That was number 4 on Friday. He was, sometimes, a back, but usually he was playing this slot because it's an empty set. You have no backs in the backfield. That's what empty means. Just the quarterbacks in the backfield. Everyone else spread out. We'll see. Mission Prep came out, in this 3-man line again. They were kind of congested in there, which was kind of, I wasn't expecting that, honestly. But it works out when you're in empty like this because look at the numbers right here. This is just QB draw, right? Let's draw it up like the Generals wanted it to look. He's going to drop back for a second. He's going to look to his right. Now, when he looks to the right, a couple of these guys, I think on this play, the slot receiver did a little out route. And the outside receiver, honestly, in a QB draw, yeah, you could run upfield vertical to kind of get this cornerback off you a little bit. But, man, if he would have attacked here, like he's supposed to, I think, and if he would have got on his horse and either tried to get that front safety or at least ran this guy off a little better and blocked him out, you got the H right here, right? He's going for the backer. You got to get on your horse and go for that linebacker to kind of make a hole for that quarterback running the football. And then this T right here, he's got to get this guy pinned in. And for me, this guy ran a little post on this play, I believe. Dude, if he would have got here, got on his horse, and you can get there. As a receiver, if you get on your horse, you can go get those safeties. I promise you it's possible. It's a mentality. And that was the problem on Friday night, was the mentality these players were playing with. So it's just a simple draw, right? Simple draw play. That's it. And these guys were bailing, by the way. Everyone was bailing on the snap. What bailing means is they were just backpedaling backwards. And I mean everyone was doing it. The backers, the corners, this, safety robber kind of guy right here. Everyone was doing it. And so when you do this QB draw, they're going to bail. Well, heck, dude, if you hit it right here, which the Generals did, either side, dude, look at this. There's no one in the middle of the field. This safety might be here. You could try to get there. If you don't, though, at least you get the cornerback blocked off a little bit, go to his inside shoulder. But, dude, it's one-on-one. Or, heck, if you bust your butt and you get there and you bust your butt and you get there, there might be no one there. And it's wide open. And what happened on this play, I think this D tackle got an arm outstretched, and this middle backer might have filled late after he bailed. But, dude, it was there all night long. And when I watched the tape and I looked at it back, I go, oh, my goodness. Like, if we just got on our horse and if these guys could just show a little more effort. I don't want to sound mean about it, but it's true. You could get to these guys, man. And you could definitely get to these corners. And number 4 on this play actually did. I want to shout out him. He actually did a pretty nice job blocking this outside backer. And as this H, man, you got to get on your horse and you got to get this backer because he could wreck this play. It's a mentality, dude. And we didn't have it Friday night. And that's, to me, this is not on coaching. It's not. It's young players learning what playoff football is about. And that's okay. Better at a wake-up call now than later on in a quarterfinal or semifinal. At least you know that playoff football is here. And as a receiver, you have to block. So hopefully this kind of gives you an idea of what they were trying to do. But when I say, let's just kind of talk about football a little bit, right? If I say they got to pin the inside shoulder, you got to attack the inside shoulder because you're kind of blocking like this, right? You're kind of reaching for the inside shoulder. And that creates lanes for this quarterback right here. If you attack outside, these guys could still crash inside, right? You got to attack to his inside shoulder. And that's what all these guys should have done. And I think these outside receivers, you got to try to get on your horse, dude. If you're going to run a post, if that's in the playbook, I didn't know, cool. At least run them off, though. Run a hard post. But if you have to go get that safety, you can get 2 for 1 right here, I promise you. If that safety runs with you and you pin that safety, that cornerback's going to get washed out of the play. You can get both. So that's just a little bit of my thoughts on some of the empty run stuff. Now let's go to another play out of empty. It was open all night long. If we would have blocked it, if the players would have blocked this and play with a little more physicality, this play right here that I'm about to show you, it should have been a touchdown. All right, here's the play right here. So this is number 4, right? I got him as listed as T because think about it. He was motioning sometimes in the backfield. He was doing a lot of the jet motions. He was pretty much the back, just lined up as a receiver. And I should have clarified this, the boundary. That's just to the short side of the field. So when we say field, that is just the area that has the most field to it. Super simple. So, in this scenario, the right side of the field had a ton of field to it. The left side had really no room to run to it. That's why it's called the boundary. There's less room to move. So, right here, it's simple. T motions. This linebacker didn't go with. He stayed. I think he was trying to help out this corner and safety maybe, but he doesn't move at all. He just kind of stays there. Maybe he was trying to play backside pass, maybe something of that nature, but none of these guys really moved. It was pretty strange that none of these backers or nothing shifted with motion. So the team motions, right? It's just a hot pass. Quick pass to him. It's like an out route. Quick out route. Throws the ball to him. Dude, look at these numbers that the Generals had. Cornerback. He's taken by the outside receiver. The outside receiver, in my opinion, kind of has the toughest job sometimes in these type of plays because if the corner flies up outside, dude, you got to pin his inside shoulder. If he flows up inside, dude, just push him out and keep on driving your feet and just wash him into the middle of the field. Now, this wide receiver, the robber was, I call him the robber. You could call him, I guess, outside backer, flat defender. He's just got to get the outside shoulder. He's got to get the outside shoulder and pin this guy off. Now, the H's job is really important because off the line, it's really who becomes, first target, but it probably is going to be this backer if he takes a good route. And this backer did. He took a down route. Dude, the H has to take good tracks. And that means just being patient when you're blocking. And a track, if I could kind of explain on the whiteboard, think about, it's kind of like in basketball, right? When you're defending someone and you got to be, really good with your feet, moving left to right. Same thing when blocking. Dude, if he takes a track outside and just waits for him to get here and pin him off real quick, or if this guy goes now and we already got him beat and you see that he's already washed himself out the play, the H can go get this safety. Most of the time it's the back, but either way, what I'm trying to say he goes to the back like he did. Dude, if these guys hold their blocks right here, number 4 catches it, and it's one-on-one with the safety. If he doesn't even get washed out the play to begin with. It's a one-on-one. And if you make one guy miss, dude, it's a house call. And this X receiver over here, you got to get to this safety. You got to get on your horse and get to the safety because he's the only backside guy that could catch number 4 if he breaks it. But it was open all night long, man. And, as a former receiver in this offense, you have to block. You have to block. And it's fun to block, man. Like, if you get good at blocking, dude, you can get in DB's head so easily, man. And it's fun. But this H-back right here, this is the position I used to play. So it's kind of the position I kind of know the most about when it comes to blocking schemes, just kind of why I harp on it so much. Dude, you have a chance to get one. And if you want to, dude, you might be able to wash out 2 defenders if you really get on your horse and study the tape and really take blocking seriously. But you got to, as the H, get this backer pinned because he's the first one that could wreck this play, and he did a couple times. So that's just kind of my thoughts on the mission prep stuff, just to kind of show you guys that. Again, I think we have a bunch of young players, and it was playoff football, and the stakes were high, dude. And I think it was a little bit of a wake-up call for these younger guys on the team. But if we would have executed better and just played with a little more fire, I think we see a lot different game that against mission prep. I think Shafter rolls them. And I think they just didn't come out with that. And that's just kind of some blocking stuff by receivers that I wanted to break down because in this offense, people often talk about how, glorified the receiver position is. But, dude, you got to be nasty. In this offense, you have to block. You got to be nasty. It's an attitude thing. Watch tape and learn people's tendencies, how they flow to runs and stuff like that. That can help you out too, to really learn, what shoulder to attack. What does this backer like to do? Does he like to come up fast and am I going to need to pin him? His outside shoulder super quick, or does he like to flow late and I can really go attack that guy? That's just a couple things. I hope it made sense. If it doesn't, I'm sorry. I know I'm going really fast, but I really like this stuff. And I like blocking schemes on the outside, man. I think it was open, and I think the game plan was actually pretty good. We just didn't execute it. And so now let's move over to Union's matchup this week because they do some things that I think we could take advantage of. All right, so Washington Union, right? Versus 10 personnel. So this is probably what the Generals, I think, will come out with. They'll go back to their standard offense for this week just because it makes a little more sense versus this defensive look. But just let's talk about personnel stuff real quick. I think their D-end, I believe he's number 9. These D linemen a lot of times are all down. What I mean down, like they got their hand in the dirt, in the standard D-line stance. But he's the only one up. And he's pretty athletic. And I think that he's a lot like that Wasco D-end that Shafter faced a couple weeks ago where he'll crash stuff, man. He's really fast and he's really athletic. And he wants to go get the quarterback or the running back each and every play. And I think that's good, but I also think he's a little undisciplined. And I think that if they run, the read option or, zone read, they could kind of do some stuff against him that what he likes to do will work against him in a little bit is what I mean. And then I got these corners circled as well. I think their corners are really good. I think they got good ball skills, and I think they're physical. I think the corners are maybe the most physical guys they got. They will come up and tackle, and it's going to be a big test for these Generals outside receivers. Sorry, this should be, let's make this the X. This is going to be a big test for these General receivers on the outside because they're going to have some corners that will press you and will play press man. And a lot of times these guys, they play a lot of quarters, which means cover 4, which means, just don't get beat deep. Kind of think of it like that. They're just kind of bailing out of there. I think their safeties and their linebackers are susceptible. These linebackers on the outside, they want to take away that run-pass option, right? So that means, say we take away from this guy. Say we motion this guy. And this guy kind of stays in the box a little bit, and we run that zone read. And we, he easy pulls it. This guy runs a little slant. I think this guy gets his eyes in the backfield a lot, and I could see Coach Perchie doing some things, kind of attacking him for it. Especially with this guy on the outside, too. He gets his eyes in the backfield a lot. Even if they don't motion or anything, I still think you could run some RPOs, especially with the slots this week. I wonder if that's something we'll see with these slot receivers. A lot of alert calls, which means, just a little slant off the line because that these guys are going to get their heads in the backfield. And sometimes they blow coverages where no one's even on these slot receivers, especially in trips, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But they do nothing fancy, really, dude. it's just all man coverage. They really believe in their athletes, and it's all cover 4. But like I said, these backers are meant to kind of dirty up this window, but they get their head in the backfield a lot, and they like to attack run. And I think that might leave a big game for Schefter's slot receivers and these outside guys if we motion the trips and run some RPOs off of that as well. These receivers are going to have to, this week, get off the press because these guys are going to come and press, and they're going to play physical. And again, block. This game's big on the receivers because I think Schefter's offensive line is better than their defensive line as long as number 9 stays all right. But he could be a game wrecker if he gets going. But a lot of times, and I think they're going to do this for Schefter, dude, they show blitz. And, I mean, it's like Engage 8 on Madden where everyone's coming, and these guys are just locked up on the outside, and the safeties are just playing man. And a lot of times they're off coverage, and you could do quick hitters against them, I think. But I think they're going to come after us. And they show blitz, and when they get home, it works. But when it doesn't, it comes back to bite them. So that's just a little bit in 10 personnel. I actually think Schefter will run a lot of trips this week, and I'll show you why right now. All right, here it is. Union versus trips, which means 3 receivers to the field side. Let's just kind of look at it at this standpoint. I'm going to circle these backers again. It's a lot of pressure on these backers. The X receiver, I think, could have a big game for the Generals. Because if you see what they're doing here, let's line up we can keep the running back on that side. Let's do that. Let's draw up an RPO real quick. I'll tell you why it puts this guy in a bad spot. This corner's off the ball, which sometimes he'll come, press man, which I think he might versus us. But let's say he is off the ball. Little zone read, pull it, slant. Like I said, I think this guy will crash down. I think he kind of abandons his pass rules sometimes. I think he gets his head in the backfield. And I don't think he's really worried about pass, honestly. I think he's there to muddy up the read, kind of like Wasco did, but he's not as good as it. He's not as good as Wasco is at doing it. Sorry. And then this linebacker as well. He's got a tough job as well. This H can have a big night. If you kind of just, there's a play Schefter runs called Poison. I don't want to draw that up, but I think that could possibly, maybe work versus this team. But anyways, so let's kind of talk about this a little bit. This backer as well likes to get, his eyes in the backfield. I could see us a lot of times, either this guy hitting some quick shots in the seam route or the Y hitting some quick rock, or the Y, maybe an out route right here, and him kind of hitting a lot of seam routes as well. But I think this free safety gets kind of lost roaming around in the middle of the field, and I think he's susceptible to get beat by a seam route over here. This corner's press man a lot of the times. He's pretty good. So this Z's going to have to use his hands and get off the field. But the thing that they do in trips is why I like trips a lot. They blitz a lot at trips. Like, they bring the house. It's not no games, no nothing. If I kind of erase these lines, this backer, this DN will go, this backer will go, this middle backer will go, and they'll bring this outside backer to go. So what does that mean? This free safety has to cover this H, and a lot of times he's like 10 to 12 yards off the ball, maybe a little farther. If you just call an alert call now, this guy gets the ball, dude, it's one-on-one. If you make that guy miss, you're going to score a touchdown. And this Y, this safety might be, 10 yards off as well. If you can make him miss pre-snap and you get the ball, it's a touchdown as well. And this corner might be pressed up. If you can make him miss pre-snap, it's a touchdown. It's feast or famine because they do get home on a lot of their blitzes, but they show them. They don't disguise anything. If they're coming, they're going to tell you that they're coming to blitz. And this corner, same thing on the backside. He's left on an island. If you beat him pre-snap, it's a touchdown. What I'm trying to say is scheme-wise, I don't think it's a very good scheme. I could be wrong. I mean, we'll see Friday night. But this safety, he's got a hard job, even if it's not man. But when it's man, covering this H that far off the ball, dude, call an alert call. You catch the ball and you're out now. And that's at least 8 yards a pop. And we'll take that all night long. So that's just what they kind of do in trips. Expect a lot of man coverage, I think, and cover 4 a lot of the times. But I think they're going to bring the house, and I think they're going to man us up because I think they think they could beat up our younger receivers, especially after last week's performance. But it's there, dude. A lot of alert calls, a lot of quick passes, and a lot of RPOs I think are going to be there this week. So that's just kind of some of my thoughts on the Washington Union game. Now let's get into my picks for this week. I was definitely wrong about a lot of stuff in the first round. I have no read on the Division III playoffs at all. But let me get to my picks. Here they are real quick. Okay, so number 1, Shafter, hosting Washington Union. We just got done talking about this game. I think that Union's a better matchup for Shafter than Garza would have been. I think Garza's really well coached. They did some stuff I didn't agree with on the offensive side of the ball. I think that if they would have just had more alert calls and took what the defense gave them, it would have been a lot easier night on Garza. I think they made it a little harder on themselves. They tried to run a lot of vertical routes, a lot of stuff deep down the field. I think you see our coaching really outshine Union this week, and I think we get it done. And I think that surprises a lot of people by our performance last week. But I think Shafter's gotten a wake-up call, especially these younger players. And I think they beat Union to go on the semifinal simply off coaching. I think we have a lot better coaching than Union does, and that's nothing against Union. I just think that our scheme is better. And number 5, Kennedy, traveling to number 4, Golden West. My brain says Golden West, but I'm picking Kennedy. I think just gut feeling. Kennedy last week, number 41 for them, really came alive. I think he had more rushing yards than D. McCablin. And when that starts happening, especially in the playoffs, and their DBs got some turnovers, and they're playing better in the secondary, I think Kennedy shocks Golden West, and I think they beat him, and I think we get a Shafter-Kennedy matchup in the semifinal round. And then number 3, Porterville hosting number 6, Indy. This is a good game at first, but I think Porterville runs away with it. I think Porterville's the best team in this playoff. And I could see them winning by 14 to 21 points here. And I think they're going to face Wasco. Wasco and Kerman's my matchup of the week. I think it's a really good matchup. I think Kerman's quarterback's really good, and their offense does some good things. But they're hit or miss. They've been inconsistent all year. Wasco's been consistent. And I think that run game for Wasco's too much. And I think Wasco's defense is playing a lot better. And they're tackling a lot better. And they're starting to get used to their scheme now late in the season. So I got Wasco. So my semifinal matchup predictions are Shafter versus Kennedy for a rematch and Porterville versus Wasco for a rematch, which sets up, no matter how you look at it, a rematch in the semifinal and Valley round. Unless Porterville beats Wasco, then, Shafter Kennedy hasn't played Porterville yet. But any other scenario, it would be a rematch in all other rounds. So I think it's some stuff to look out for. Hopefully you guys like this breakdown and, enjoyed this. We'll try to do it again next week a little more in depth as we get going and as we all, learn more football together. So thank you guys.